I'm Anne Marie Weir Love, and I was born in Willoughby, Ohio, and moved out to California when I was 17. I wanted to be an actress or a model, and found that not to be so lucrative. So fortunately, I spent a lot of time in high school typing and taking courses on reading and writing, and got a job at a law firm instead. Then got married, had a little girl, and got divorced, and got married again, and got divorced again, and I just basically came out here to have a good time. I had a good childhood. I had a fun childhood. I was raised by my dad with my two brothers. The neighborhood boys picked on me a lot. I was always afraid of witches and ghosts and goblins and stuff like that. And they would chase me around saying that the ghosts and goblins were going to get me, and scared the living daylights out of me.
You said you were raised by your dad?
Yeah.
Right. Where was your mom?
My mom had a nervous breakdown, and she lived on her own. But she was a part of our life. She still came around a lot and helped with, child rearing and things of that nature. But primarily I was, my dad was my primary caretaker, and and my brothers. I have a sister too, but she went to live with an aunt. When we were growing up, she was only 2 years old when my mom left. But I was the spoiled child, I would definitely say. Coming from Ohio to California was such a big difference, and was so fun and really exciting once I got out here, because it was the 80s, and that's when if you were into rock and roll, that's when Motley Crue and Poison and all the hair metal bands were just coming up on the scene, and it was just a blast. I mean, Sunset Boulevard was unbelievable, and we were down there, me and my girlfriends, having a good time. Monday through Thursday were the best nights down on the Strip, and we just go and hang out. We got to hang out with everybody. The birth of my daughter, it really didn't change my life, other than bringing more happiness into my life. I still got to do everything I wanted. I still got to be around the people I wanted. I was still able to work and, take care of my child. And yeah, it was, it didn't really change my life. I mean, other than, wow, look at this magnificent human that I now have in my life. And as she grew up, I mean, I honestly have to say I've been truly blessed with the most awesome person in my life. My daughter is just a great human being. Far better than I could ever dream to be. At a certain age you start going to get mammograms and this, that, and the other, but I had noticed the first lump in my breast when I was about 21. And I had gone to the, breast center in Beverly Hills, and, oh, nope, it's nothing, nothing for you to worry about. Okay, fine, the lump was still there, and I actually had 3 lumps in my left breast, and was continuously told by doctors and pathologists it's nothing. It just looks like fatty tissue, or it's just a cyst, or, it's just scar tissue, or, and I was like, well, these, it's not normal. I want them out of my breast. And, went back regularly and faithfully, and was continuously told that it was nothing until, well, the interesting thing was I had HMO insurance at all those times, and the HMO plans didn't allow for a cyst to be removed because there was no, a cyst is not going to kill you. you know, and the same doctors that said it was absolutely nothing, when I finally got PPO insurance, all of a sudden I had cancer. It's like, really, how does this happen? Last year I had no sign of cancer whatsoever. Now I have stage 3, grade 3 breast cancer. It's in 9 lymph nodes and I need to have surgery immediately or I'm gonna die. These lumps have been in my breast since I was 21 years old. You people have been telling me there's nothing wrong with me. For the last 5 years, I've been coming and getting mammograms. Now all of a sudden, I'm gonna die. It's December 3rd, 2009, and if I don't have surgery by December 26th, I'm a goner. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm gonna take my chances. I don't trust you people. I've been with you people for X amount of years. You've been telling me one thing, and now you're telling me that I have stage 3, grade 3 cancer. So I, you know, called up a friend's mother who had breast cancer, and she was very instrumental in helping me find other doctors and weighing out my options. Like for example, I almost stayed with the doctors who diagnosed me, but the one doctor she had such a horrible bedside manner that I was just like, you know what? I need a doctor who cares about me, who is interested in what's going on in my life. So anyways, this friend's mother contacted some friends in New York, some doctor friends she knew in New York, some oncologists, and he said these are the best people in California for her to go and see. So I went and checked out a series of doctors and ended up finding this female surgeon, an older woman who reminded me a lot of myself. Was into motorcycles, was into music, she actually looked like me too. I really liked her, and the way she went about choosing her team, she had a whole team of doctors. She's a director at the City of Hope, and I went to the Pasadena office. And based on my she did a personality analysis on me and chose my doctors, my surgeon, my oncologist, my radiologist, based on my personality and who would be compatible with me. And when I met these people, I was just like, wow, I feel like I've just been placed in the hands of God.
My name is Dr. Michelle Spring. I'm a board-certified plastic and reconstructive surgeon in Marina del Rey, California, and I specialize in cosmetic and breast surgery. Patients have an important role to play in their breast cancer and reconstruction care. Most women do choose to have breast reconstruction after mastectomies. Some women don't, and that's a personal decision. Some women may prefer to have the cancer treatment and then have a reconstruction further down the road. It's important, I always tell patients that it's very important that you feel comfortable with your surgeon. This is someone who's going to be taking care of you through thick and thin, through good outcomes and bad, and you want to feel comfortable that you really trust that person and they have the expertise and the training and the background to take good care of you. And that goes across the board for being involved in all of your medical care.
I made the decision to have a double mastectomy because I didn't want the cancer coming back in my other breast. There were too many people that I know who've, you know, had reoccurrences in their other breast. So that wasn't for me. I was ready to go. I was ready to fight this. I was like, okay, you know, once I found my doctors, I was like, okay, doing whatever you need me to do, whatever has to be done to get myself well and get me strong again. One of the materials that they use to reconstruct with is a material called alloderm, and it's made from cadaver flesh and some sort of synthetic materials that are fused together, and they can't tell what kind of blood was used, you know, the type of blood that the cadaver had. So unfortunately, A negative, you can only get like there's only like 2 blood, you can only take A negative and one other type of blood, and this cadaver did not have matching blood type with me, and yeah, my breast swelled up and my body was basically rejecting it. So I had to have yet another surgery, and then they had to take my stomach. So yeah, pretty intense.
What do you mean they had to take your stomach?
They had to take my stomach muscles to recreate the pocket for my breast. And my body was rejecting implants, so they had to reconstruct out of my own flesh. So they used my stomach muscles and the fat from my body to reconstruct. The final reconstruction that finally took was all my body.
How many reconstruction surgeries have you had?
I believe it was 16 surgeries.
There are many different types of breast cancer reconstruction, and without going into a lot of detail, the basic categories are breast reconstruction that's implant-based, so a breast implant is used to recreate the volume of the breast, or there are tissue-based reconstructions where a woman's own tissue and muscle and skin and fat will be used to reconstruct the breast. It can be from the lower abdomen or from the back or from different parts of the body, even the thigh or the buttock. So there are a lot of different options for breast reconstruction. Some of it depends on patient characteristics, body type, history of previous surgeries, and medical conditions. Things like that are going to have a large impact on the best reconstruction options for that patient. It's important that patients are aware that most breast reconstruction surgery is not one-stop shopping. Although the main part of the reconstruction is done in one surgery, there are often many follow-up smaller surgeries to keep improving the way that the breast looks. It's difficult to recreate a breast with one surgery. In addition, many patients who are having unilateral surgery, meaning they're only having breast cancer treatment on one breast, they need a symmetry operation on the other, and that may involve a breast lift or placing a breast implant on the other side, or maybe a breast reduction. The federal government does require health insurances to pay for symmetry procedures, so that's important to know that there is that option. If you have a lot of breast asymmetry, you can get that other side treated so that there's more symmetry.
Being there at the hospital, I realized that there are programs to support people, and one of them is Pets with Purpose. I got involved in that, and but I had to train Timber, and a long process training the dog. I mean, people think, you know, oh, you can just go online and get a certificate for a therapy dog. Well, no, that's not really the case. You have to the dog has to be of a certain temperament. He's got to have a certain personality, he or she, and she has to be able to deal with chaotic situations. Like if there's code blue is called at a hospital, you know, the dog, and you've got 5 doctors rushing by with a patient, you know, running them into the emergency room to do an emergency surgery. You can't have a volunteer that freaks out and a dog that freaks out in the process. The dog has to be able, like, okay, hey, what's going on? Okay, I'm just hanging back here. And Timber's got that personality. We were at the hospital a couple weeks ago, and we're on the rehab floor. And these are people who had heart attacks or strokes. And there was this one man just moaning. You could hear him throughout the hallways, moaning, moaning, moaning. And Tim and I walked by his room, and you know, you look in and you ask the people, would you like a visit? This man, you know, moved his head yes. And so Tim and I went in the room. His nurse is sitting there, and he reached out for Tim, and Timber walked up to him and laid his head on his lap, and the guy was petting Timber and looked at Timber, looked at me, looked back at Timber, and said, "I love you." And the nurse turned around and was like, "Oh my God, that's the first time that man spoke since he had his stroke." And, you know, I smiled at the man, and I said, you know, "God bless you. Hopefully we won't see you here next week. Hopefully you'll be healthy and out of the hospital." And Timber and I left. But at that moment, that man knew that I loved him, and that Timber loved him, and that he was cared for. And I believe that's why I'm still here. When I found out I had cancer, I had no one to turn to except my friend's mom. And, you know, God bless her, but she didn't have stage 3, grade 3 cancer. She couldn't walk me through everything I was going to go through. You know, if you go to a support group, you're going to have resources there. Naturally, yeah, get to your doctors, but you know you have options. And know this is not a death sentence anymore. You can overcome this, and you will overcome it if you have the right attitude and the right team supporting you. Basically, cancer has kind of encompassed my life if you really think about it. My brother had cancer, my grandfather had cancer, my best friend had cancer, my dog had cancer, and you know what? I'm still here defeating it. It's not going to take me down, and I'm here to help other people overcome it.